Good day everyone, my name is Manuel Satir and in this video I'll be reporting about female reproductive system. Here's our learning objectives and I will only be reporting until the uterus. So here, female reproductive system. This is a system of organs exclusively for females responsible for producing eggs and supporting reproduction. Their main functions: this produces female gametes, which are the ova and the egg cells, and they secrete female sex hormones, which these are estrogen and progesterone. And this also supports fertilization, pregnancy, and childbirth. Lastly, they nourish newborns through milk secretion. Here we have the medial view of the female reproductive system. Then next we have the anterior view of the female reproductive system. And lastly, here is the structure of the ovary and the ovarian follicles. Now let's talk about ovaries. Ovaries are two small oval organs in the pelvic cavity. These are suspended by ligaments, and these ligaments we have here three kinds of ligaments. We have suspensory ligaments. This connects the ovary directly to the body wall, and another is ovarian ligament. These are ligaments that connects the ovary to the uterus. And lastly, we have the mesovarium ligament. This is a fold of peritoneum that links the ovary to the broad ligament. And every ovary, they are covered. There's a skin tissue that is called visceral peritoneum, and in the outer layer, there's a dense connective tissue that contains ovarian follicles, and each follicle holds an oocyte in different stages of development. Now, let's talk about oogenesis and fertilization. The formation of female gametes starts during the mother's womb, and a fetus has about 5 million oogania, which then develop into primary oocytes. And after giving birth, only 2 million oocytes remain. Then by puberty, only 300,000 to 400,000 oocytes remain. Then let's talk about ovulation. Ovulation is the release of secondary oocytes from ovary. Then after ovulation, we have fertilization. This happens when sperm unites with oocytes to form zygotes, which have 46 chromosomes. Now, let's discuss about follicle development. As we have discussed before, ovaries have already started developing in her mother's womb, and the primary oocytes are surrounded by primordial follicle. Primordial follicle is a primary oocyte surrounded by a single layer of flat cells. Now, during puberty, some of the primordial follicle will now turn into primary follicles. These primary follicles are enlarged oocytes as well as enlarged granulosa cells. Now, approximately 28 days, the primary follicles will then convert into secondary follicles. These secondary follicles are fluid-filled vesicles. Now then, these fluid-filled vesicles will converge into one fluid-filled vessel, which is called an antrum. Now these antrums are mature follicles, or what you call Graafian. Now these are ready for ovulation. Now, after ovulation, some of the ruptured follicles will then form into corpus luteum. Now, if there is this corpus luteum is a glandular A glandular structure formed from ruptured follicles. Now, if there is no fertilization happen, this corpus luteum will now turn into corpus albicans, or what you call scar tissues, for approximately 10 to 12 days. Now, let's discuss about uterine tubes, or what you call fallopian tubes. Uterine tubes extend from ovaries to uterus. These uterine tubes are surrounded by fimbriae that catch released oocytes, and the cilia move the oocyte through the tube, and fertilization usually occurs in the ampulla. The implantation may rarely occur here in the uterine tube, and this is called ectopic pregnancy. And we'll discuss about uterus. Uterus is the hollow muscular organ. This is where the site of embryo implantation and development. And the uterus has three main parts, which these are fundus, the upper dome. This is where the ovaries are connected to the main body. Then the body is the main portion of the uterus. And lastly, the cervix. This is the lower narrow part of the uterus. And the uterus has three layers, and these layers are called um, perimetrium. This is the outer serous layer, and next is the myometrium layer. This is, or what you call, the muscular layer. This is located in the middle part. This is the middle part of the layers, and lastly we have the endometrium. This is the inner lining, and this is where it sheds during menstruation. Now let's talk about a condition that happens during childbirth, and this is prolapsed uterus. Prolapsed uterus is a condition where the uterus drops down to the vaginal level, caused by the weakened pelvic muscles. This often happens during childbirth.
So good day everyone, I am Angel Taperla. So now I'm going to continue discussing the parts of the female reproductive system. So the next is the vagina. It is a muscular tube-like passage in the female reproductive system, and it serves several important functions like passage for menstrual flow. So during the menstruation, the blood tissue from the uterus exit the body through the vagina, and this makes the vagina the pathway for menstrual flow. And next is, it is also a site for sexual intercourse. So during the sexual intercourse, it is flexible and elastic, which allows it to expand and adjust to accommodate penetration. So next is for birth canal and childbirth. So during the childbirth, the vagina begins to the birth canal. So as the baby moves from the uterus, it passes through the vagina and out of the mother's body. So the vaginal walls stretch significantly to allow the body to pass through. And structure and lining. Walls contain smooth muscle and mucous membrane. So the inner walls of the vagina are made of the smooth muscle, allowing it to stretch and contract. It is lined with a mucous membrane, which keeps it moist and helps protect it from infection. So moisture and elasticity are important for comfort and safety during intercourse and childbirth. So hymen, it is a protective tissue in young females. So in many young females, the vagina is partially covered by a thin membrane called the hymen, and it may naturally stretch or tear due to activities like sports, tampon use, or intercourse. And the condition of the hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity. Next is the external genitalia or vulva. So, the vulva refers to all the external reproductive structures that can be seen outside the female body, and these structures protect the internal organs and play a role in urination, sexual stimulation, and childbirth. So, let's talk first the vestibule. So the vestibule is the space or area inside the labia minora, and this is where the opening of the vagina and the urethra, where urine is exists, are located. It serves as the passageway for urine and menstrual flow. Next, the clitoris. It is a small and sensitive organ made of erectile tissue, and it contains many sensory nerve endings, making it very sensitive to touch and important for sexual arousal and pleasure. Its structure is comparable for the male penis but its main function is sexual stimulation. So next is the labia minora. These are inner folds of skin that protect the vaginal and urethral openings. So it helps form a small hood-like structure called the prepuce, which covers the clitoris, and the skin is thin, delicate, and rich in nerve endings. Next is the greater vestibular glands. So it is found near the vaginal opening, and these glands produce mucus fluid during sexual arousal. The fluid helps with lubrication, making intercourse more comfortable. So next is the labia majora. So these are the outer folds of skin that covers and protect the outer external organs. So they are similar to the male scrotum in structure and may have hair after puberty. The space between the two labia majora is called the potential cleft. Next is the mons pubis. It is a rounded, fat area located above the labia majora, and it covers the pubic bone and provides cushioning during intercourse. And after puberty, it becomes covered with the pubic hair. Next, podental cleft. This is the slit-like opening between the two labia majora, and inside this cleft are the labia minora and the vestibule, and it acts as a protective covering for the inner genital structures. Next is the clinical perineum. So this area, it is between the vulva and the anus. This region may stretch or tear during childbirth. Sometimes doctors perform an incision or episiotomy in this area to help with pag-deliver or delivery sa bata. So, all in all, the vulva includes structures that protect internal reproductive organs, support urination and sexual arousal, and stretch during childbirth. And each part has a specific function that contributes to the reproductive and sexual health of a female. So next is the mammary gland. So these are part of the female reproductive system. Although they are located outside the pelvic region, they are found within the breast and are responsible for producing and releasing milk to nourish a baby after birth. So, ahaday ni siya makita and unsay ang function. So, the mammary glands are located inside the breast, and their primary function is milk production, especially after childbirth. And each breast has two external structure, which is the nipple and the areola. Sa nipple, diri aga exist ang milk, and si areola, diri ang kanang, it is the darker circle surrounding by nipple, which contains gland for protection and lubricate the nipple during the breastfeeding. So we have the internal structure, which is the lobes and the lactiferous duct. So inside each breast, there are 15 to 20 lobes arranged like section of a circle, and each of them connects to lactiferous ducts, which can act like milk tubes, and these ducts carry milk from inside the breast to the nipples. At the end of the ducts are tiny cluster called alveoli. So, si alveoli are where milk is actually produced, and it is surrounding the alveoli are myoepithelial cells. It is a small muscle-like cells that contract and push milk into the ducts, especially kung magdidi na ang baby. So, the breasts are held in place by suspensory ligaments, which is the Cooper's ligaments, which help maintain shape and support. The nipple becomes erect in response to touch, temperature, or emotional stimuli, helping the baby latch during the breastfeeding. Again, the mammary glands are ang main function dyan niya is milk producing, and it is located in the breast. Puberty is the period when a girl's body begins to mature and become capable of reproduction. So usually, start siya around 9 to 4 years old. So it begins with the menarche, which means the first menstrual period. This signals that the reproductive system has matured and the ovaries have begun releasing eggs. Menstruation happens when the uterus sheds its lining because pregnancy did not occur. So it triggered by hormones like GnRH, LH, and FSH. Puberty is controlled by hormones releasing by the brain. The hypothalamus releases GnRH, which means gonadotropin releasing hormone. So it signals the pituitary glands to release two hormones, which is the LH, which means luteinizing hormone, and FSH, which means follicle stimulating hormone. So this hormone stimulates the ovaries to start functioning and maturing. So ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. So as LH and FSH stimulate the ovaries, it begins to produce estrogen and progesterone. These hormones are responsible for regulating the menstrual cycle and preparing the body for possible pregnancy. Estrogen also influences body changes during puberty. So because of estrogen and visible physical changes began to occur, like growth of breast, widening of hips, and prepare the body for childbirth. It also, there is a kakita po ang growth of pubic hair and sometimes underarm. These changes do not involve the reproductive organs directly, but indicate bodily maturation. So, all in all, puberty is in females begins with the first menstrual period and is controlled by hormones that stimulate the ovaries to produce estrogen and progesterone. These hormones lead to reproductive maturity and physical changes such as breast development, wider hips, and pubic hair growth. And that would be all for my part.
So good evening, mom. I'm here tonight because I'm discussing the menstrual cycle. Definition: controlled by estrogen and progesterone. Here, mom. Menses day 1 to 4 or 5 days, shading the endometrium. Proliferative phase, day 5 ovulation. Endometrium thickness. And next, secretory phase ovulation, day 28, endometrium prepares for implantation. And next one, LH trigger ovulation and formation of the occurs luteum. Next, if no fertilization, progesterone drops, menstruation occurs. If fertilization happens, corpus luteum continues hormone secretion and no menstruation. One daw, ang menstrual cycle daw, the menstrual cycle is controlled by estrogen and progesterone. The lining of the uterus shades of menses, regrows, proliferative phase, and becomes ready for pregnancy. And secretory phase, the LH triggers ovulation. If no fertilization occurs, the progesterone drops menstruation. And next one, mom, we have here menopause. Definition: cessation and menstrual cycle and end of the reproductive ability caused by decline of estrogen, may produce hot flashes or mood change in vaginal dryness. And menopause is the cessation of menstruation and the end of a woman's ability to become pregnant. It occurs due to the decline in estrogen. Common symptoms include hot flushes, mood changes, and vaginal dryness. And third one, mom, we have female sexual behavior and the female sex act. First definition: female sex drive is partially influenced by testosterone, like hormones produced by the adrenal cortex and estrogen produced by the ovary. And here's mom. Explanation is sexual drive or sexual desire. A sexual drive is a woman's sexual desire is not only emotional but also has physical basis, like certain hormones, especially of testosterone, and produced by the ovaries and adrenal glands, affect here libido or sexual desire. And here's the second definition, mom. Number 2 is automatic nerves cause of erectile tissue to become engorged with blood and vestibular glands to secrete mucus and the vagina to produce the lubricating fluid. Physical response, mom. During the sexual arousal, the nerves of the body stimulate the reproductive organs. Erectile tissue become the engorged with blood, the vestibular glands secrete fluid, and the vagina becomes lubricated to prepare for sexual activity. And next, mom, we have the fourth one, which is infertility in females. Definition: causes of infertility in females include malfunctions of the uterine tubes, reduced hormone secretion from the pituitary or ovary, and the interruption of implementation. Here's the female infertility daw, ma'am. Infertility is a woman's difficulty in becoming pregnant. Common causes include black fallopian tubes, hormonal deficiencies from the pituitary or ovaries, or problems with implementation of the fertilized eggs in the uterus. So we have last one ma'am, we have, which is effect of aging on the reproductive system. First effect is the benign prostatic enlargement affect men as they age, and that it blocks urine flow to the prostatic urethra. And second effect, which is prostate cancer is more common in elderly men. And third effect is menopause is the most common age-related changes in females. And fifth is cancer of the breast due to breast, and the cervix and the ovaries increase elderly women. And we have last one effect, which is early detection is the key to able successful treatment of the most cancer. And here the explanation of benign prostatic is enlargement of, which is BPH. As men age, a prostate enlargement enlarges, which can block urine flow through prostatic urethra. And the prostate cancer is more common of elderly men, making regular screening important. And the menopause, the most common age-related change in women, is resulting in cessation and menstruation and the end of fertility. And we have last one, early detection. Early detection of this cancer is key of successful treatment and better health outcomes. And that's all my report, ma'am, and thank you.